speaking. When I leave you, girl, you know, say, no be this way. Oh, I just want you, baby, you see me when I'm with you, qualified mind. Oh, my darling, would you let me get a friend? Hello, money, would you be still with me? It's all over, I feel over. I just wanna spend some time. 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 I want this my way, and I want it the right way. The right way. Kiss que bueno velo. Salami la villa barrichello. Et ma vie to my to me the mellow.
Hello. Oh,
Hi.
hi.
There we go.
Ooh, I'm loving everything that's going on behind you, like the colors, that light. I love it.
Yeah, what? Oh, yeah, that's kind of cool. The like bathroom wall thingy.
Yeah.
It's like see-through on the other end.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's the
Ugh.
bathroom wall. Oh, thank you there. I like it because
Yeah.
it's smoky.
I'm like,
Smoke.
yeah. No, I'm here till tomorrow. My parents, my siblings get here.
Oh, wow. Where are you now?
So, I'm in Cancun.
Cancun. How far? So,
Yeah.
did you fly today?
Yeah, so I flew. It was crazy. My flight left Nicaragua at like 3 a.m. But it's 2 hours away from where I was. So I left at like 11 p.m. So I'm like in transit since 11 p.m. until about like, yeah, I got to the hotel in Cancun at like 11:30, 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. And it's like, it sucks because there's no like direct way out of there. So I had to like, I had a flight at 3:30 that left Nicaragua to Panama City. And that was only like 2 hours. Not even, it was like maybe an hour and a half flight. Which normally would be good, but the problem is I didn't get to sleep because it's only an hour flight. And then I got on another flight. I almost missed my flight because I was sleeping in at the gate.
Oh my God.
And I woke up and I was like, I don't understand what's happening. There's nobody here, but like, I don't hear them calling anything. And then I saw two people run past me. And I was like, where are they going? I'm like, oh, they're getting on the plane because everybody's on the plane.
Oh my God, it's the worst feeling.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, if I didn't see those people running, I don't know what I might have just kept sitting there. I don't like my brain like was not understanding. Like, no, it's bedtime. You're just
Yeah, I mean, understandably, you're like super sleep
So,
deprived. Oh my
you know,
God.
I
Thanks
like
for
slept all
being
the time.
here. Like,
Oh no,
you're a
like,
real one.
it's always good to like reset on Sunday. It's fine.
Yeah, Sunday reset. Unfortunately, Q will not be joining us today. Yeah, she's not feeling well. My baby. So, my other baby. Trisha, are you with us? She is risen. Are you here, darling? You just hanging out?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, I was having
you're
some
fine.
technical difficulties, but we're all good.
Oh, no, you're good. I just want to make sure that you are all
Yeah, I'm set, ready to go.
Yes, me too.
cool. Well, let's take a moment. How is this week?
Still feel like I'm kind of like just running through the motions. Also, maybe keeping myself really busy to avoid feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. which has been good. Like I've been filled in many ways, but it's still like, fuck, like I have to deal with this, but it also doesn't really feel like I have the tools to kind of deal with it. I don't know, because it goes back to, really, really childhood things. Of course, it always does, right? But just those pesky themes of unworthiness and just feeling lack and not good enough. So that's been very, very present this week. But I've had some really great moments too, where I see my power and my unique like essence and beauty come out. And then a lot of other just like creative ideas and some more like energy behind some of the creativity, which is really great.
Yeah, that is great.
Yeah. So making some progress, I guess. But like this weekend was really, really exhausting too. So I had to go to Arizona to like just deliver something to a friend and more of an acquaintance, and he's off grid and like beautiful, beautiful place. But oh my God, it was so not the energy I needed to be in. It was very like go, 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 but also like performative. But then he kind of only wanted to talk about himself. And I was like, dude, I actually had like an interesting story and you totally took over, and it was kind of hard to be there for 3 fucking days. But
Oh, wow. That is a lot.
yeah, right. So I
Yeah.
am recouping. Well, it sucks too because it was like, off grid in the middle of nature and this like juniper forest, and it was gorgeous. And I was like, this should have been such a breath of fresh air, like so refreshing. But instead, it was just kind of
Unpleasant
like,
surprises. Oh no.
mhm.
I thought that might have been what you meant, that gesture meant when you were like there's some good things, there were some bad things. It's a pretty healthy mix.
Right.
Yeah. You know what's funny though, Trish, about you saying that you like doing to avoid feeling? I was going through some trying to clear out some my Google Drive because I'm like
Mhm.
almost out of space and I keep just paying more and more.
I need
Like
to
what
do
if
that. I need to do that. Yeah.
and I found something from that I made for my clients like years ago. And it's a 5-step emotional expression model that I made. And I was like,
Mhm.
man, I completely forgot about this. This is super useful. It's like, I use it all the time in my journal. So I was like, I should send that to my how to
Yeah.
live people.
Yes,
So
please.
yeah,
Yes,
I'll
please.
definitely send that to you guys. So
Right.
that's good timing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 So serendipitous.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. How about you, Rain? I feel so bad for Raina. This is like you like
Yeah, I've
I
been
f-
like all over.
well, I was gonna say like because like it's like you've like seen my face for a total of probably like 6 to maybe like I don't even know, like 8 hours this week.
No, it's like good. I thought that today too. I was like, wow, I feel like I've been there like every day this week. Not
Yeah.
a bad thing. So
Yeah, it tickles me.
I can totally and 150% like echo what you're saying, Trish. That's literally what was coming up to me in this week. Like for me, it was like exactly all on like unworthiness and deserving and I don't
Mhm.
know what that looks like or what it means and things like that. It was like a really rough beginning of the week. Um, I'm not like blaming it on Venus retrograde, but I know like that's literally what that is.
Totally part of it.
All at the
Yeah,
same time, I'm like, that's kind of
absolutely.
what it is.
Right, for sure. Also Chiron retrograde.
Yeah.
So
And like,
Yeah, it's
I
good
mean, there's like
points.
5 things right now, but yeah,
yeah,
some
it's like
heavy
a lot of
energy,
those
especially.
feeling, digging little
Right, right.
moments for sure.
I'm like,
So yeah, I had a lot of that, like really confronting like feelings that I just forgot I had. Um Not feelings, but um like negative tapes that I just forgot. I literally forgot I had them, and then they like just
yep.
showed up, and I was like, "Oh my god, I totally forgot that things." I'm like, "Oh, I can't handle this. It's too much."
Turn it off. How do you turn
Yeah, I
it
was
off?
like, "Make it stop." I'm like, "What the
Exactly.
God?" So yeah, so there was a lot of that, but it also like in the same way was really good because I think it also I don't know, it's like cleaning out a closet kind of thing. You know,
Exactly.
like it's
Yeah.
like, oh man, this is like so rough. And like, but you're also like, okay, I'm cleaning out the closet. Like I have the capacity to also feel that too. Whereas like
Mhm.
at some points, like when things like that come up, I only have the capacity to feel like the negative. I don't have the capacity to also
Yeah.
wait, like there's
Right.
something happening here.
Mhm.
A lot of that this week. And I think, but also the week had a lot of like, which was also really nice during a week like this, because I haven't had a week like this in a long time. Like I mean, like probably over a year or something like that. It's I had like the universe kind of reflect a lot of things back. There was a lot of stuff with the yoga that was very interesting. That
Oh
like,
yeah, that was
oh,
super
here's one of
interesting.
them actually. So I was supposed to show this to you guys.
Oh yeah, look at this
Do you
shit.
remember last week when you guys were talking
Oh,
about Arabic? Do you not
Do you
remember?
remember that, Trish? We were
that's
like,
beautiful.
well, we were all saying like cues from Egypt.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Arabic
yeah.
is my favorite language. You're studying
Yeah, I'm
Arabic.
learning it.
So I at
Yeah.
first
Right.
when I listened to it, I thought, oh no, I don't have anything with like Arabic. I'm like, I don't like I've been in Morocco, but I don't have any ties. And then couple days, like 2 days later, I was like writing in my journal about like re-listening to the replay. And this is literally my journal for this group. And only.
Yeah.
It's like my
Ridiculous.
Morocco
You can't
book.
make this shit up.
But
That's
there's been a
amazing.
lot of that, like a lot of like synchronicity things, I think, like just feel really grounded and
Yeah.
know things are real. I think that's
Mhm.
also what it is. Sometimes when I feel like things happen like that for me to remind me that it's real. Like, oh no, like this is real. Things
Yeah.
are, you know.
Yeah.
So don't
Yeah.
like start psyching yourself out like about shit.
Right.
You're like, no, I'm like, this is real.
It's
Am I full of shit?
definitely.
Like,
Yeah, it's
You
gotten to the
gotta
point
check.
for me where I'm like, you just can't deny it. Like you really can't. Like
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
weird things.
yeah. And I did the
Yeah.
color thing, and that was also like really,
Oh, that was so good. Yeah.
The color orc, was that what you said, Raina?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that thing neat? That
it was
thing
so
is so
good.
neat. Yeah.
Literally spot on. And the very first one that I picked was like the most present thing for me right now. And I was like, whew. All right, let's go.
Yeah, it was really good. Mine was like in the theme of the rest of the week, like a bit confronting, but it was also really good. There were things I was like, oh, I'm like, not right now.
It's
Mhm.
interesting you use that word choice, confronting, because I
Yeah.
just
I picked up on that too.
yeah,
Mhm.
because like I that's all I've been able to conceptualize in my journal for the past week on and off is I just keep going on these long like I don't know, thought trails on like what it means to like confront something or like that word
Mhm.
confrontation. So that's
Mhm.
there's
Yes.
something in the
Well, it
water.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
definitely.
Well, it's really good. Really good, sometimes it's good to have a mix of uh uh pleasant, unpleasant things uh when you're learning new things. Oh gosh, hold on one sec.
Mhm.
It's been really rough with Emery lately. That's my share.
Aw.
Yeah, she's just been like refusing to sleep and nap and stuff like that. It's been pretty crazy. I've like
Mm.
not slept a lot.
Man.
Yeah.
How old is she now?
She um on the 4th of August will be 18 months. So she'll be a year and
Okay.
a half.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like an 18-month sleep regression I've
Yeah.
learned.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so rough. Just one sec.
Watching kids is so amazing. So
Oh my
Mhm.
God. I love it so much.
I don't
It's
have kids, but
hard, but
watching my niece and nephew, like my sister was really good about like keeping track of like regressions and when they would have leaps or like I remember the day which is still for her a very early, like she's very early. And this was like one of those things where I was like, wow, and my sister's like, she did that. She's really early for that. I saw her, like I watched her understand lying. It was kind of amazing. I watched her brain like go like, I could answer this way or I could not. And I was like, she was like literally stuck. And I was like, what's happening right now? And she's like, yes, I can have that. And I was like, oh,
You just discovered.
you discovered lying. Like, it was, and I told my sister, she's like, she's never lied before. She's like, she goes, that's actually a progression or something. And like, you only get at certain ages, or I mean, so maybe some kids earlier. She got earlier because she communicates really well, but she like corrected herself right afterwards. Like she was like, yeah, no, I can't like,
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
but like you saw her brain like get there and then go, something's not right about that. And like,
Yeah.
and I was like, whoa. I'm like, when things like that happen with my sister's kids, I'm like, whoa, like I just watched you get that. Like,
it's incredible. It's like the most incredible thing like in the world. I know that's like so common and like trite to say, but in a way, but like it's just, and the thing I was never around children growing up, like in an almost like extreme way. So this is like so new for me. But it's incredible. It's amazing. I love it. I love being a mom. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, you know, sometimes the best position to be in when you're in the process of like learning something new or in the process literally of learning something new is having life be life through that. Like that's why I think it's so funny people like the concepts of like going on a retreat or something, like putting life on hold to learn about life just seems really funny to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, we need everything to go like for the majority of the time. Like I'm not like knocking it. I'll probably like, you'll see me like 5 years from now being like, you guys want to come to my retreat? You know?
I mean, I would go.
Yeah, I'm sure. I already think about shit like that. But it is funny, you know, you gotta laugh. It is kind of funny. But it is it's a good little mix, good little territory for the stuff we're gonna get into today. Which today, sad Q's missing it because we're gonna deviate a little bit from our usual structure. I do have a short, you know, with me, a shortish, longish lecture portion for you. And today, of course, we're talking about the will. Raina's favorite subject. Sorry, I just love to pick on people I like. But then I want us to actually do, and I'm glad I waited until this lecture for us to all do this laser beam exercise that I keep talking about from weeks past. We're going to do it together, and then I'm going to send you guys, I'm going to send it to you so you can practice it, you know, on your own time. And then I just want to talk a little bit about will and your guys' relationship to will, and you know, especially right now, ideally as present as possible, because it's conversations like this that again do help me, and like in combination with the telling, that help me to refine this aura process and get as specific as possible. I already have a bunch of things prepared before this course started, just so I wouldn't overwhelm myself, but I go in and edit it each week based on the stuff that you guys share with me. So the more you share, the more specific, and you can even, if you want, it would be funny to try to figure out, like I do one for each person, that's why there's 3. It's like who's like, oh, is this one for Trish? Is this one for Q? Is this one for Raina? Sometimes it's hard to tell. But But yeah, so shall we get into it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So yes, spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about the will today, right out the gate. I'm going to open with a sort of esoteric secret about the will, because I kind of want it to preface and overlay everything else that I'm about to say. When people think of the will, willpower, generative force, generative energy, masculine energy, you know, the solar plexus, solar powered, all these things have this quality of being very active, and being almost marked or characterized by creating something. It seems as if in the modern day, we cannot have a conversation about the willpower to do something, to be something, without there being the ghost of what we're creating or what we're generating. So what I'm about to say is essentially going to flip that entirely on its head. So I mention this modern day and age because of one reason. And that reason is because what we can all agree on about today is the intellectualization that has occurred and become just the backdrop, the mainstay of how we live our lives, right? And it's because of this over-reliance upon the mind and the intellect that we are not often enough in a position to remember or recognize or have understanding about some of the most base processes within us. For example, our will, which is tied up with instinct, which is tied up with intuition and things like that, right? So we've gone a long way away from understanding from the same perspective as we would understand how to move a limb, how we work. And so I'm going to have to use my backdoor approach to reframe by using over intellectualized concepts to trace back to how it actually does work in the human being. And it looks like this. The will in a human being is not a creative force. It is a destructive force. The same force that lives in us as will is the same force that we can look out into the world and see happening in nature, the destructive forces of nature. Furthermore, it is the same force that quite literally is or perpetuates death. What we know it as something kind of in the middle, but not altogether seeing the full picture. Because our mind, rightfully so, and this is a positive thing I'm about to say, because our mind is so determined to counteract or push against this destructive force that is marked by death, because it is seeking to go against that and create things, to create concepts, ideas, connections, links, understanding, logic. We have over-identified the will entirely, not just with the mind, where the will is this much actually contained within the mind. So if I'm not painting a picture here, I want to be very clear. When most people are trying to strengthen their will, they are doing it in the most inefficacious and incorrect way imaginable, because they are relying mostly on their mind, where one, it is working against that force. The mind is always working against the will. Two, the will just slightly resides. The will resides in the lower half of the human body. It is, again, think of root chakra, think of survival, think of the most base processes within us. If you are disconnected from those parts, you will always struggle with having a weak will. And the more that you try to use your mind exclusively or more than working with some of the things that I'm going to talk about today, the more that it's going to work against you, and you're going to actually weaken your will, because the single most harmful thing that you could do to weaken your will, and therefore quite literally your spiritual connection, is to be addicted to dreaming, to be addicted to forming illusions about reality. Okay? The human will only functions, I sound like a broken record, I say this all the time. The human will only functions to the degree that you can accept reality, right? So what makes the will weaker and weaker is being addicted to these ruminations, these ideations, these abstractions, dreaming with no follow through. As you might imagine, I'm kind of hearkening back to some of these previous classes. Lately, it's been duty to play, because the last class, which we talked about the heart, this class, we talked about the will. So much of that is tied up in what it takes to actually create and fulfill a purpose, which is what that lecture was about. So furthermore, you weaken the will the most when you generate illusions about things in the external world, right? And what we learned, I hope, in a very, very concrete way last class, is that you will never move down the path into what I'm calling multidimensional living, enlightenment, you can call it whatever you want. You'll never move down that path by distancing yourself from life. Won't happen. Quite the contrary. You must become clear about the things that you encounter in life. You must face life. You must be immersed in life, right? And so, in other words, it's not through the impoverishment of the external, engagement with the external, but rather it's enrichment that we move into greater access and strength of our will and become more and more multidimensional beings. So, what I'm about to say might seem a little bit paradoxical, but we know that means that we're hitting some sort of truth, right? The element of will is actually best and to some degrees only developed to a certain caliber through meditation, which means that if you don't meditate, there is a cap to how much strength your will have. So meditation, which is not a matter of what we fantasize, it's not even truly a matter of what takes place in that space and where we choose to go with it and in it. What's important is that we imagine or participate with great inner strength. In meditation, you have the perfect opportunity, the most perfect opportunity to strengthen and exercise your will than in any other arena of life. So that's part of why I'm presenting you with the laser beam, by the way. This takes that process and I think creates a specific series of steps and goals so that you can feel and track and see and play with an external reality. And this thing works quick too, so be prepared. It's kind of creepy. So you can see, you can kind of get back what you put in rather quickly. So I call this the laser beam, the ultimate tool for excellence. The way in which a human being, this is just a buffet of things and we'll tie it all together all nicely. The way in which a human being strengthens their will is in small, entirely imperceptible ways. So not these big old cinematic life-altering moments, right? It's in the micro moment decisions that we make to shift and take the reins over and over each day. How committed are you each day to doing that in the most minute ways? In the case of the most invisible labor, no one will ever see it, only the fruits of it outside of you. So it's a noble task on many levels. The card associated, the tarot card associated with this class, I am going to speak to for a moment because I think that it's a very pertinent card to actually include in the lecture portion. It's the Emperor. And the Emperor in this sense, as it relates to the tarot, is similar to the Hierophant, although I think a lot of people miss this quality when they're looking at it. In the idea that this particular figure is put in the position of power that he's in because people believe him to be, and he believes himself to be, ordained by God. So this is divine rulership on this card. And what enabled him to acquire this position is not because he is greater than the people that he serves. It is because he does his best to make of himself in the likeness of God, meaning that he rules with one thing: authority. Authority. So when you see all these memes and things like that that are like, hey, did you know that you're the writer, director, cinematographer, of your life? If you read between the lines, what we're really getting at here is you are the author. You have as much authority over your own life, within reason. Or rather, I should say, you have much more authority over your life than you could ever imagine. As a matter of fact, in my experience personally, and in the long-term work that I do with people, I have seen one thing happen every time. which is that when people get a bit of a taste of how much authority they realize that they do have, and the true essence of their will begins to shine through them effortlessly, it scares them. It scares them. And they have to pass through that threshold, and it becomes a small kind of initiation. They will have to face some fear to continue living through that lens. But I cannot think of one example in which this did not occur. Like passing through the eye of a needle. But once you do, and you face the dweller at the threshold, essentially, which is some kind of very deeply embedded fear of your own power and authority, and also of anything corrupt that might surface within you. Once you pass through that, then you get to, you get to experience that, you get to live that as a defining feature of your life. And you get to take it with you into all of the rest of your lifetimes. That is a proper initiation, which nobody can ever take away from you. So, about the Emperor here, hand in hand with the will, what is the Emperor? When you see this card, you can use this in practical life sense too. When you see this card, you want to aspire to your highest goals and build according to a logical and a practical set of plans. This is what I am talking about when I keep insisting that the will is anchored in the lower chakras. It ain't hanging out up here. These two hemispheres, these two worlds, they must merge. They must merge. The more, it really boils down very simply to, are you a person of your word? Are you a person of your word? Do you do the things that you say you're going to do? Do you do the things that you want to do? Do you make them real? There is no other way to strengthen your will. Or rather, you cannot strengthen your will without those things. Both are true. Act upon your goals and plans, and emotionally use your anger to motivate you. That is the proper use of that one. Use your anger to motivate you to achieve your visions. Now here, that's the Emperor as you can see him part. Here's the divinely ordained part. And this is the part that a lot of people miss, and this is why I made sure to do the prior lecture before this one. Because they go hand in hand, and you have to use them together or it won't work. It simply won't work. If you recall in the last lecture when I was talking about people do that, right? They make a plan, they aspire, they go out to get it, and they try to take it. And they look and there's nothing there. And they get really frustrated. I can simulate so many different situations and how this works, or they do grab onto something and it doesn't make them feel anything. Something's not right. You have to learn how to open your hand. So open your hand for what? If you wish for spirit, which is an all-inclusive term, which is 100% does not exclude you as you are. All the different aspects that you contain incarnate and not. Okay? If you wish for spirit to manifest itself, you have to. It is necessary for you to create a place of emptiness for spirit to use to assist you in focusing on the truth. For you to be able to really see not just how things actually are, but what you actually need to do, which I promise you will differ in at least one or two ways from what you think you have to do to get to where you'd like to be. I promise you. You must be willing to put aside your personal opinions and all the things that you think will get you from A to B. Miracles are the natural way of life. But you will never believe me nor anyone else who says this or writes this until you experience it for yourself. In your own life, not in the life of someone else, but in your own life. So if you wish to receive these revelations, this clarity, right, without trying to figure it out, reason it out, analyze it to find the answer, that's not the quality, the grade of truth that we're talking about here. Okay? I'm not talking about that kind of truth. The kind of truth I'm talking about is instantaneous. It is instantaneous because intuition is instantaneous. The kind of truth I'm talking about is of a higher order, and parts of you and parts of the things you see around you and people around you might fundamentally disagree with it, but it doesn't matter. Literally, it doesn't matter. As in, you will likely be often, many, many times in your life, the only one beholden to it. You will be following a path in some ways that nobody else can see, and that only you can really describe in some way to yourself. There is a kind of secrecy. There is a kind of essence to this process that I'm describing to you right now that cannot in any way be put into words. And that's part of how you know that you're on it. You couldn't tell somebody about it if you wanted to, but that's the way it's designed. That keeps it safe from anybody's energy damaging it. It must be protected at all costs. So don't even try, essentially, is what I'm saying. The Emperor teaches us essentially how to write our own constitution, a living, breathing, essence-filled text that we call our life, but as an actual constitution to bring divine order to it, and therefore purpose that is self-created. That's what makes it divine, because we are divine. Okay. In order for this to happen, you have to clarify your objectives in life. You've got to be honest. You know, you've got to be very honest about what your objectives are in life. Don't shrink from your desires and your passions. That's a death wish for the will. Don't shrink from them. They're big for a reason. Once you have defined your goals, you put all of your powers and faculties together so that they become available to you in practical ways. Then you can manipulate them in the direction of what you truly desire. You come to learn who you are by learning who you are not. This is what I mean in part by the will is a destructive force. This is partly what Erykah Badu meant when she said evolving involves eliminating. Right on the money. If you cannot see a trail of tears behind the things that you are no longer being, doing, saying, feeling, thinking, then you could use some strengthening of your will. What is the number one thing that allows for spiritual development? Question. Answer. Stability. It's like fruit flies everywhere. It's throwing off my groove. They're like crazy. They're like, I'm gonna yeah. Stability. I mean, that looks very different to a lot of people. Okay. It's very different. But going to be a cap on that developmental process if you don't have that. If you don't have that, whatever progress you make is it's just gonna crumble. It ain't gonna stick. Then you, in part, emotionally get addicted to that process of getting there, watching it all fall, figuring out how to use your will in an incorrect way that works against you to build it up again. Try to figure out how to make it stick. You get stuck in this. I see it all the time. And like, if I think about it too much, it's heartbreaking because I see it more often than not in people who are truly devoted to having a better life. I mean, truly. And it's not their fault that they don't have. See, I'm already like, oh my God, I'm like starting to like tear up. Like, it's not their fault that they don't know these things. You know? It's not their fault. But it is, in my opinion, the responsibility of the people who learn these things to tell other people about them. So, you know. Stability, right? But if you lose touch with your passions, then your life becomes barren and your will atrophies. So the crucial test, coming up at the end of the lecture portion here, the crucial test in this process of maturation, that's really what we're talking about here, what it means to mature as a human being, because you actually don't even have a will in the way that we're talking about until you're at least until technically you're 14 years old. Yeah. The crucial test is to absorb the rules, the traditions, the beliefs that you've been taught, and then go beyond them to find your own personal code of conduct. That's another trap I see people falling into. I see this happen a lot more with men, but with women too. People who have a real serious desire for rebellion. You know, they can see the fallacies and, you know, the discrepancies in the things that they've been taught by society, by their parents, you know, etc. And they refuse to absorb them at all. And they dedicate themselves to rallying against them, you know, and it's pretty popular thing in the world. I could go on, but I won't today. All the while, in some sense, wasting their lives in the process. I'm just going to say it. I feel like somebody's got to say it. So, it's okay It is okay to absorb the things that you've been taught. Things get dicey when you stop there. Right? It is only after having, it's a really weird way I worded that, but it's only after having asked, sought, and knocked, and then having received, found, and gained, that one truly knows. That's the whole process broken down into some curt little words. You've got to ask. Be the first to ask. Ask for it. Ask for the thing. Let spirit help you. There is one mistake that everybody, I wish that my giant megaphone fantasy that keeps replaying is like, what will it be today? Please let them help you. We're not designed to do this alone. We do have the free will now to cut ourselves off from this. You don't have to. You really don't have to. And you will not experience anywhere near the level of satisfaction or success when it comes to spiritual development and success in the very, tangible earthly realm if you do not allow spirit to help you, if you don't ask for it. I am so serious as a heart attack. You've got to ask. Okay. And when you ask, don't forget that you asked now. Keep an ear pricked for that answer because it's coming, but it's not coming in just one way. It's coming in life. It's coming in 360. I'm talking every single part of your body is going to show you what that is. The answer is coming. Okay. That's the seeking. Asked, sought, and knocked is what I mean by that. So once you're like, okay, I think this was an answer, that's when you, and it's kind of difficult to describe this, so I'm going to describe it in a poetic kind of way. But, and this is reminding me, Trish, I forgot to do your thing on prayer, but it's kind of like a prayer. So you ask for something, and it could be to know something, right? It doesn't have to be, what do I do? Whatever. Something happens to you. It could happen, don't, expectations going to limit that. So just, you don't know how it's going to happen. And then either you are like, I know, like, this is definitely an answer. Most of the time, you won't feel that way. And this is the knocking, act as if, as quickly as possible, when you have this experience that you're understanding is an answer, or at least part of one, act as if it is the answer and you know what it is. It's hard to describe. Take what you think is the answer and be that, even if it's for 10 minutes. See how it feels on you, in you. See how it feels to be that. Try it on for size, is what I'm trying to say. Like, as quickly as you can. Don't wait too long. And because there's something that happens when you do this, and it's this thing that I keep talking about in different ways, where you watch yourself do, say, and be things that you never figured out how to do, say, and be. You just are. So, that is the path of knowing, like in a biblical sense. When you have touched it, you've merged with it. It's a part of you, right? Not up here.
Can you
Yes, please.
repeat the ask, sought, knock, and what was the rest of it?
Yes. Asked, sought, knocked,
Mhm.
and then having received, found, and gained. And I can go into a whole spiel, a little tiny spiel about those as well. This is the palm open thing.
Mhm.
So you can break these down to kind of masculine and feminine. Now that's kind of what I'm getting at here. Ask, sought, or seek, either way, past tense. Knock is a masculine thing. You are projecting something. You are seizing something, whether it's assistance, you are asking for something, you're claiming something, you're generating something, right? And then the receive, find, or found, and gain is what you have to allow to happen to you. So after that moment where you try it out, think about it like this. I just had a real good analogy come to my mind. Think about it like this. You know, when you're a kid, right? And for the first, this is what I'm talking about, until you're 14, all your will knows how to do. It's a dependent will. It's a immature will. It only knows how to imitate. That's all it knows how to do. Okay? Your whole life is imitation. When you turn 14, your will as an independent will becomes mature. Okay? Now you can think about something without ever having seen it, and you can try to be it or create it. Okay? So you ask for something, okay? No matter what it is, be anything. Okay? You receive some sort of response in the form of an answer. Sometimes it's providence. It's just straight up. Like one time, y'all, like I don't know I don't know where I said this. I don't know what it was. I asked for a car. I got a car. You never know what you get. Like, okay, so like, you ask, you get a response. Okay, you can think about it like a dialogue has started, and I want you to think about yourself in this process as a child. Okay. This part that I'm talking about where you knock, this trying it on for size, is like when you put on your parents' like work clothes for dress up and you see how it feels, right? It's not really, you're not really like in there. You're trying it out, okay? Right? But you don't really understand just because you're wearing the clothes and doing the mannerisms that you've seen. You don't really understand at this point all the other embodied wisdom that they have from actually being in that experience. And the one thing that has given them that experience is their agreeing to allow that experience to occur. So what I'm saying is try to be it. If even for, I'm talking 5 minutes, just make a decision. Just try it out. Okay. And then this is the thing. This is where you shift into the more spiritualized, feminine, etheric part of the process. You have got to allow all that, what I just described in the analogy as embodied experience, to come into you. This is what people are talking about, downloads. Okay. This is how you don't actually have to have the tangible physical experience. You can just receive the information that you need to get you closer to the real life experience of it. Tell me what parts of this are not making sense? If so, or like, I'm happy to keep rephrasing this so that it makes sense if it's not making sense.
It's making sense for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's making sense. I would like to go back to, you said like knock and act as if it is the answer. So like acting as if it's the answer, is that coming from us and like what we desire or what we actually feel the answer
That's a good
is?
question. What you actually feel like the answer is. That's a very good question. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely I'm trying to think of a some sort of, real life example.
Yeah, that was my next question actually.
Mhm.
Because my mind is immediately going into like work mode. I'm like, if I want to make this like successful jewelry business or like art business, like I'm immediately going into like, design, or like, how do I actually set up this fucking like business account and like blah blah blah. And like that doesn't feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's great that you recognize that, because a lot of people don't. They don't even realize that doesn't feel good,
Yeah.
So that's great that you realize that, but so, okay, let's use what you just said as an example. Let's make this like very real. Okay, so let's say that you decided that you were going to ask for information about next steps. So what is my next step to making this real? Okay, so you aspire to your highest goals. You're trying to set down some, very logical and concrete plans around this, but you want to know how to, what's the best way to proceed. So you ask, and it's an intimate thing, just asking. You can do it any way you want. Just make sure your heart is pure in it. Make sure it's genuine. Do it with all of you, and make it an act of love. Be there, be present with it. And because that also, the frequency that you hold when you ask will determine the quality of the assistance that you receive. The quality of the beings that will come to your aid will match where you are when you ask. So be mindful of that. So let's say you do that, and let's say you are, I know you like to explore, nature and the desert and things. Let's say you're on a walk, right? And this is off the top of my head, obviously, if you can't tell. So let's say you're walking and you encounter a creature that you have never seen before. Maybe like you're like, I didn't even know this existed. I don't know. In my mind, it's like, ew, it's some sort of creature that you've never seen before, right? And you're like, wow, this seems really significant, And so a lot of times these things have come to me through animals. So I'm using that for a reason. Raina. Anyway, but you see it and you're like, okay, well, here, and you immediately, so when you see this creature, you immediately, just in the most light, no pressure way, just poop, just pop in with your intuition. Do you feel anything? Do you hear anything? Are you getting anything? And if the answer is no, then please go on ahead, do some research, grab that phone, look up spiritual meaning of said animal. Maybe you have to even like Google what the thing looks like.
I do that all the time. I did that the other day for a cockroach.
Really? Oh God,
I was sitting on a curb with
insects.
my friend and we were talking until like 3 a.m. and this was one of those very, very life-giving conversations. And like every time we hang out, it's like, oh God, you just gave me the chills like so many times. But yeah, so we're sitting out on the curb and this cockroach kept running at him like for hours, and it would only go to him, never me. And I was like, dude, what is that? Like, what is the spiritual meaning of a cockroach? And like, yeah, and I also did that recently for a coyote, which I still don't know what it means, but it is the trickster spirit. So
Oh
yeah.
wow. Yeah, coyotes are
Anyhow.
very, yes. So
Yeah.
yes. So you look it up, and maybe it's not, every single word of the, the article that you read or whatever, but something in it speaks to you and you're like, okay. And maybe a part of you is like, I think this is the answer. Another part of you is like, I don't know if this is. That's fine. It is fine if you have doubt or if you are not 100% sure. Okay. So let's say that something in this article says something about like what's coming immediately to mind are two things: collaboration or finding other people to work with, or like making a what do you call that, timeline, like getting clear about like where you want to be at a certain time.
That's a really good idea, because that is like one of my biggest things. If I don't have deadlines, like I just don't, there's no
Deadline. Yeah.
pressure. And with like ADHD, it's just kind of like there's no fucking adrenaline that gets you
Yeah.
there to actually do it. So
Yeah. That's, I mean, that was what just popped into my mind, but I don't know. I am psychic, so
both of those are
write that
very
down.
relevant. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't turn it off. So let's say that, that happens like that, right? In this hypothetical example. Immediately take out your phone, open notes, or grab pencil and paper, and just don't think too hard, just go. Just start either like writing the timeline or writing down a list of people who you're going to call to see if you can recruit to be a part of your project. Just try to enact the answer very quickly. It doesn't have to be long. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to sustain it for a while.
Yeah.
It just entered your field, okay? It's not materialized hardly at all, which is why the doubt is okay. It's normal. Okay, so you do that, right? Then from that point on, Patricia, from that point on, you want to do a couple things. One, you want to prioritize how much you are relaxing. You have got to be in a relaxed state to get this information. Girl, seriously. Okay.
My biggest hangups. Like even when I'm like getting a massage or something, I'll still be in my head and like anxious, like letting these ruminating thoughts go. And I'm like, fuck, like how do I even,
You just gotta practice. You gotta make it important to get better at that. Make that one of your main priorities, to practice it. Because think about it, like they can try to send that information right down to you and it as pure as possible, but if you're not relaxed enough, looks like little singes, and it'll get cut up and it won't come in whole. And sometimes not at all if you have a lot of expectations and all these things going on mentally. You've got to just relax, cultivate when you wake up in the morning. Try to set a tone, cultivate this sense of trust and being held, okay? Because they are going to come in and help you. That is the law, my friends. Okay, that's the law. Let yourself know that. Let yourself tell yourself that in the morning, like, and try your best to relax no matter what you're doing. Just try to be easy. Just be easy. Okay, till you start getting more of that information. It is very important, though, very, very, very important, that you make sure that you have something to write things down with. Writing is a spiritual technology. It is not just this thing that we do. And if I talked about this in the Intro to Intuition course, just like there are certain things that will cap, you know, your will and things like that at a certain point in spiritual or esoteric development. If you do not incorporate writing into your spiritual practice, you cannot evolve past a certain point. Yeah, it's that important. It's that crucial. So you want to make sure you are, if you can't devote a couple minutes to writing each day, just make sure that the tools are available to you, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. What is 8:12? Okay, cool. 1 sec. I'm gonna use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Mhm.
This all coming up is so interesting today because I'm like had all these thoughts that tied to it.
Yeah,
It's
it's like actually been a lot of my lived experience the past week, just like kind of this intuitive knowing that these are things that I need to incorporate. And I've been like, I'll just be driving around and like talking and like, you know how she said there's always a guide with us, like we are literally
yeah,
never alone. I'll just be like, hey, like blah blah blah, I'm feeling this way. Like, can you help me, you know, I don't know,
yeah.
through this, or like generate more of a feeling of trust and of love. And like those have been like the top things, is just feelings of trust. And
Mm.
I know that a lot of my feeling of distrust in life in general is just because I see myself like, you know, saying something and then I don't act on it. I don't do it. You know, with other people, but also with myself. So it's like that is so diminishing on the self-trust. And now I realize willpower, that which makes total fucking sense. So like this is all right on the nose.
Yeah. Especially like the relaxation part. Like I do, that's like a whole thing for me, but I know for a fact like I have to be relaxed to get information. It always comes through solid. But today I had this, I don't know, I think I was just riding in a taxi because I've been in transit a lot today. And I thought about the last time I did a Tezmezcal, like in Mexico, we were in that thing.
Yeah.
And how like my thought, I remember people like had to get out and and other ones I've been in, and I constantly like get to a point where I'm like, and I'm like more recalling this today. So it's funny, this all came up, was like, I would just tell myself like, surrender to the heat. And like, I would get to like a true state of like surrendering to the heat. And I'm like, oh, like, it just made me think like things that feel resistant for me still a little bit right now. It's like, oh, I forgot. I'm like not surrendering to the heat per se. Like I just haven't surrendered to the heat. And when I think about other points in my life where things were rough, and it was like, it wasn't always conscious, but there always was this moment where I just was like, this is what it is. Like, let's just dig. And then all of a sudden, like, things would start changing, but like they never changed until I got there. So I really got to the point where I enjoyed my own, like, I enjoyed the heat. Like I just enjoyed the heat and committed to enjoying the heat because I'm like, what else am I gonna do? Like, you know? And then things would like shift, and I'm like, oh, it's funny that memory of the Tezmezcal came to me, and that was like conversation I was having in my head today. But I don't really know why, but it's kind of funny that it totally like you guys were talking. I just started rewriting that. I'm like, oh, okay, this all ties together. I'm like, let me write the thought that goes all together with this because it's already like here, like it like dropped right. So
right.
I just have like surrender in big words.
Your life
like,
already.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's
really. Yeah. Oh, that's some good shit.
Yes. So that's reminds me of I don't know who said it. That's some quote about how something to the effect of like one of the most powerful positions you can be in is after like admitting defeat, you know? Like what, you know, what some people they lose so much of their power because they don't want to admit like defeat in some area, you know? So they just like keep surrender to the heat. I like that a lot.
It's definitely
do.
I learned
yes.
Charge forward until I'm like, you know what? It's over, girl.
Yeah, you just get up. White flag.
Stop fighting. It's too hard.
Yes. That's how I felt with this Travis Scott album. I was like, I'm gonna listen to it because I am a rap devotee, but I was like, I'm not gonna like it, and it can't be that good. And then like 4 songs in, I was like, fuck me, like I'm done. Like this is fantastic. Like, like, oh, okay. But whatever. I appreciate the music, not the person, but whatever. That's besides the point. So that's the end of the lecture portion. My friends, I
Really quickly, or just ask for more.
yeah, we can talk. We can, yeah.
So like process, question, answer, stability.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the stability, I don't know if I necessarily have a question or just like more information or like texture around it. I get it, but I just feel like maybe a little more texture around it, so I can make sure I feel like I have it.
I mean, it's a broad word.
Yeah.
Just that's it. That's the key, is stability. The most important thing to take away from the kind of stability that I'm trying to evoke in this context is, of course, an inner stability. Which and I'm glad. I was kind of hoping, and I forgot, so I'm glad that you did. I was hoping that you would ask earlier about this, because a lot of people develop this inner stability by being very transient. That's certainly how I did it,
Yeah.
but not everyone takes the time to really take stock and take inventory and claim how much inner stability they have actually gained by their quote unquote unstable lifestyle. And so here's a kind of self-care act that you won't necessarily maybe see, like, I don't know, on a article or something. But one thing that I would suggest is take, if you can't do a whole day, take a few hours or something, and make it nice. Go somewhere that you want to go, to a restaurant, go to a coffee shop, go somewhere nice, make it a thing. Don't just, do it at home, like make it a thing. And either write down or just sit there and enjoy a cup of coffee or a drink or something, and just allow your mind to call up, not just in thoughts, but just all over things you can't even put into words, how much inner stability you have actually gained. Like, pull that shit in, claim that shit, like bring it into your field. Don't let it just hang out unclaimed in the periphery. Like really call that in via your awareness from the asking. It's like winning the lottery and not claiming your earnings. That can happen on a spiritual level. You can absolutely. That's the power of our awareness, and also the power of our mind. We can completely do all this shit that's so great and so nourishing, and then just never actually get to experience the rewards of it, And so inner stability, in the sense that on the most basic level, what people talk about when they talk about remaining centered, no matter what's going on around you, can you stay embodied? Can you stay present? Can you stay calm? Can you maintain control of your what's the perfect word I'm looking for here? Can you maintain control over your nervous system in any situation? I want to talk about stability. That's some stability right there. So the stability I'm talking about has a lot to do with your nervous system. In fact, a lot, a whole lot. Yeah. It also has a lot to do with things like addictions, like we all have things that we all have addictions. Everybody does. There's no one who's exempt from that because they take myriad, all kinds of forms. But are you okay? Can you accept where you are in relationship to them? You know, can you accept where you are in relationship to them? That's a form of stability, you know. Also just an attachment, looking at attachment, people, places, things, routines, activities, habits. You know, just sometimes it's good to just think about all the things in your life, especially the really good things. For some people, also the really bad things. And just take a moment to be like, who would I be and what would my life look like without these things? And observe what your emotional reaction is to them. That'll tell you how attached you are to them. And can you accept, are you comfortable with that level, that stability? So you see how much of stability is wrapped up in how comfortable you are in your own life, in your own skin. Can you relax? Can you soften? Can you allow all that you are and all that life is to envelop you comfortably? That is stability in the best words that I can find at this moment.
So my question kind of really ties into all that you just said, but it's just how to cultivate a greater sense of spaciousness and capacity and openness.
It's a really good question too. I love these good questions. I fill my heart with glee. That's also one of my favorite things to talk about is this you're saying capacity and spaciousness.
It's something I've actually been thinking about a lot lately.
Really?
So I'm really glad a lot that's come up today has, been super relevant. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yes. I mean, and that's a wonderful sign, you know, or a wonderful consequence or symptom of growth is to think about things like that, to the desire or recognition for more spaciousness. Yeah.
Right.
There's so many things. Oh, it's a very fun topic.
I also feel like it really ties in with the will and like the concept of being a destructive force, because like I felt a lot more spaciousness and capacity to like accept a lot more of life since that breakup. And it's like, so I feel like so much of it is in like letting go and in, not necessarily destroying, but like removing the things that really aren't meant for us. So like that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Did you feel after the breakup, did you feel kind of a lot of like your power was kind of coming back to you, like a resurgence of will?
Yeah, there was a lot of relief. There was also situations where I realized like I was speaking my truth more in ways that I wouldn't have been comfortable before.
True.
And and like leaving situations that didn't feel good. And like I straight up told two guys, I was like, well, y'all are being rude and talking over me, so I'm gonna leave. And I
Right.
just
Yes.
they just like gave me this like
Advocating for
deer in the
yourself.
headlights, like and like I ended up having a great night, but yeah, it's like little things like that and ways that I realized I was diminishing myself and in the context of the relationship. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, you know, it's really interesting you say diminishing yourself because, you know, contrasting with this desire for more spaciousness too. Like there's a conversation happening there, you know, and it's triangulated, the trifecta. I feel like at the top of the triangle is this ongoing process of relaxation and trust and this feminine internal position, you know. And so there are some pretty pure ways that you can create and kind of invoke and inhabit more spaciousness in your life, to call in some pretty like pure and direct ways in terms of, of course, there are guided meditations and stuff like that, which we all know how I feel about those, but I'm sure that they're, I just tend to be a proponent for writing your own. That's just my whole bag with that. I don't know. But also it's the most simple things that are the most powerful with this. One is definitely that thing, that unnameable thing that I was talking about last class, as like a 100% absolute practice thing that you do often, where you literally just decide to be enveloped by everything in your reality. One thing that you'll notice is that you almost feel like your scope of vision expands the more that you do it. Like your periphery, like how much, like your like in like a camera, like the aperture expands, like colors will become brighter, you'll be able to take in more of your environment, like things like that will create spaciousness over time. But I feel like, and this is more intuitively, admittedly, I feel like there is a more specific question that you're asking or that you want to ask, or that's there, which that is less conceptual and more personal. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. So I did also want to ask about the lower three chakras that you mentioned, because that's where the will lives. And there was something else, and maybe my question is more along those lines. Oh, I guess just meditation in a more general sense, because I definitely struggle with that. And it's like, I don't know, I've like read so many things, tried so many guided meditations, and I think part of my hang up, as well as with the asking, it's just I get so hung up on words. And that comes through in so many ways. Like when I try to write something, like a post for social media, or, even just in my journal for myself, like I've kind of gotten in the habit lately of like just writing a bunch of shit and then tearing it all up afterwards. Because that makes it a lot easier. It's like, oh, I'm never going to see this again. So like, it doesn't matter if it's shitty, but so I guess my question would be, in a more practical, real grounded sense, like how do we maybe go about developing those chakras as well as a meditation practice, would you say?
So in all actuality, I could talk for a long time about that because, but my mind is kind of coming to a point in one specific thing that's practical, and I think for the time being will satisfy your goal, which is a certain style of meditation. And it is it's reflective. It's a reflective style of meditation. So it's very simple. You sit down, and don't, like, a minute is fine. 2 minutes is fine. Don't even, you probably already know, but you do not need to focus on the length of this at all, right? All I want you to do is just reflect, replay either what's happened that day or anything in the past in a state of neutral observation. So just play back things that happened in your life. It can be super far back or the few moments before you sat down to meditate. and just focus with your inner strength, use your will in the situation to observe them neutrally. It's one of the most healing things that you can do for your root chakra. And anything that you do that's healing to your root chakra is going to positively influence the chakras above it.
Right.
You know, and
Okay. Yeah. That's perfect.
yeah, and it's so simple. You
Yeah.
know, some of these things, they should be very simple.
Right. I actually, I'll probably text you about it later, but that reminds me of something I did a couple months back that was literally just to experience somewhere very traumatic with a neutral. It wasn't even neutral. Like I was in a positive place, but like going there and seeing what it felt like without the adrenaline
I
and
remember
all of that.
you shared
Yeah.
that with me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that
Yes.
was really powerful. And then, yeah, when I like saw him at the gas station and, almost positive it was him, it was like, I moved on from it in like a minute. Like I just walked in and it was
Yes.
out of my mind. I was like, oh, okay, like we're good. So
Yes.
yeah, I have felt how incredibly healing that is already.
Just remember throughout all of this that it might seem small in the moment, these small little things, but when all of that work consolidates and it hits at just the perfect time, just remember that you get what you put in. It may not be as quick, or in the way or as quickly or whatever in the time frame that you want it to be. And it's like, I hair stuck to my face. But but it does come back to you. And it transforms you. And, so much. I think that in part what I wanted to say is that I think that you are in the process of confronting and reckoning with the fact that there is more space in your life now. And the question is, it's like a two-part question, like, what do I fill the space with that's correct? And how do I keep the space at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of confronting of my own behavior as well and feelings. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You keep writing. Keep
We'll
writing.
do. We'll
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yes. That's a little personal wish. Personal wish. Okay. Yeah. Any more questions?
Let me check my notes real quick.
I'm doing good on time.
A lot of connecting. I know that's for sure today. Just wild. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Questions, discussion is good too. It's a free for all. Make it real.
I asked the question about stability because I don't know at what point, like what description you had, but by the time you gave the description, I was like, okay, I got to write the thought that's in my head. I can't like write her description or I'll lose the thought kind of thing. But it was like something around like when you see people in space where it's like, there's the question, there's the answer. There's no, like, maybe you use the word stability at that moment, but it's like a cycle. It's never to then. And I thought in this year, beginning this year, I had this like, again, I was just like mind dump writing and like things come out, was that like my life consists of things where I do them and I get them to a point that I like, and then I go do something else. But I haven't learned. And so for my word for the year is maintenance. I don't maintain things. I like go on to the next thing. And then I'm like, oh shit, that felt like, wait a minute, that like is not where I left it. And that's because I started thinking, and I realized I'm like, oh, I haven't practiced the art of maintaining, like, which to me feels like stability, because then I lose footing. I'm like, okay, that's good. Let me go do this. But I actually haven't like maintained the footing of this, you know, to like truly go on to the next thing and then maintain the footing of that also. So it's like a juggle, as opposed to like in my head, this like pathway that has these like very solid rocks that can, you know, are put down. Okay, like if I want to come back and step on it, it's there, sort of thing. It's like always like, oh, let's start to sink again. Shit, let me like go to whatever I did before to get it back there. So I don't know. For me, that was like a tie in there with like my word of the year, which is like maintenance, like getting things to a place and then really spending time on the real energy for me is on maintenance, because I can get everything to the point. It's maintaining it. But there is like a level of like having stability around it that's missing. You know, there's no stability around it. It's sort of the incline, which I'm really good at. I'm really good at getting, like, figuring out the thing, doing the thing, getting it to the point. But I never actually thought about like, okay, how do we stabilize this? So yeah, I thought it was like, basically the way you gave the example, I was like, oh wow, that literally ties into what I've been thinking is my thing to do this year, is to ramp everything up the way I know I can. But like, remember when I get there to be like, hold on. Like, let's sit here and hold, like, yeah, get stable, like really stabilize this. And what's that like to really keep it, you know, centered. So
that is such a huge facet of last night. Like, as I was like laying down to go to sleep, I was like, all I could think about was like, I didn't say that. It's in the numerology workshop. I was like, I didn't say that. Oh my God, I didn't say that. How did I not say that? You know, whatever. Anyway, my point is that that's a huge feature of the 6th year is a kind of maintenance. That's a really good word, maintenance. Yeah. But I am curious about something. First of all, do you know your human design?
I'm like, well, I know I'm a projector.
Like, you're a projector. Okay, that's
seen it.
fine. I want to go play. Oh, that's good.
Something like that. I don't really know, like something like that. The other ones.
You're both projectors? Oh yes, Trish, we talked about that. Yes. Okay, you're both projectors.
It's made so much sense.
Oh yeah, me too.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna mention I'm the same way, and like, yeah, sorry, just go on something and like doing stuff really quickly, very well and efficiently, and then just being like, okay, and like not touching it ever again. Like that is a huge thing with me.
I would love, Raina, if you feel like it, if you're open to it, if you would share one real life example of this, something that you got to a certain point, we didn't stabilize it, and you went to something else and you realized that it wasn't stable.
It's like the most basic versions are career. I ramp up, I get something new, and then I like do the thing, and then I kind of plateau, or it actually dips down a bit. Like right now, I'm like, I'm doing fine at my job, but it's fine for my job. It's not fine for me as like a human. It feels like a slide back because there's not even enough momentum to have progression. I just sort of like, for me as a human, not necessarily work-wise. And then also my health always. I constantly do this with my health. I'll go in these like sprints, and I'm really good about it. And I know what to do, and I know how to add new, because I have the past information. I can now add in new information very quickly. But there isn't a sense of like, okay, like what's the real life like? It's like, what's the forever of this? You know? I don't like settle into that. And I have an inkling, I haven't put much thought about it in this way in relationships I'm good at it too.
Mm-hmm.
I can like draw it in, make it happen, make it feel good, da-da-da. And then when me and a person get to that maintenance thing, something, well, actually not something, it's really funny. I spent the week like, not like that, but we stayed in the same place a guy I used to date. And that was our conversation, was like, I stopped maintaining myself in our relationship. And so I have nothing left to give if I don't maintain myself. So then I become a different person. And I understand someone not knowing who they're dealing with now, because they're like, I don't understand, like, who is this person? And I'm like, I stopped maintaining myself. So like, now I'm a new person to you. And you're like, what the fuck?
Oh God.
So even that, like, I in relationship, I don't maintain my sovereignty after a point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, it was like a real realization, like talking to him and thinking really, really, saying it out loud for me, thinking things in my head and knowing it and even writing it down is much different than like, I find my knowledge is strongest and settles best in community. And so to say it out loud, it really like was like, okay, like this is a thing. Like you don't maintain your own sovereignty after a point in a relationship. You just let it disappear for the sake of, I don't know, making sure that the person feels powerful. So yeah, so I guess those are the real life examples.
Yes, that's real. Thank you for sharing. That was super illuminating, super helpful. You know, something. So my partner is a projector too. You and Trish have something in common. You have something in common. Okay, so this whole we're not hitting it hard enough. This whole relaxation thing. We ain't hitting this hard enough. We ain't hitting this hard enough, y'all. No. Because here's energetically, and I'm not sitting here trying to like tell you how your life works or how you should live your life. I'm simply supplying some supplemental information of an energetic variety that might fuel your process. Qualifying statement. Projectors are so fucking intelligent. Like a kind of intelligence that is unprecedented. Most of them, they don't know that. They don't see it because that's how they've always been. They don't know what it's like to be in anybody else's head, so they don't understand how powerful their intelligence is. Okay? So when you have this capacity to understand and apply information at lightning speed with precision and accuracy, my dudes, my friends, that it's so easy to get into, because it works, it's so easy to get into that rhythm. And so I want you to imagine it looking like this. Information comes in, you're like, okay, I understand this, I know how to apply this, I'm going to apply it. But here's what happens with projectors that makes things stick and is more akin to their own natural, organic, if you want to use that word, rhythm. It's got to come from down here. And how does it come from down here? You got to slow down. Slow the fuck down. Slow down way more than you even think. You think you're slowing down. You're not slow down. Like, y'all. Like, it is going to come from down here, and it's going to be so much more reflective of what makes sense to you and so much less reflective of what makes sense, period. Like, which sounds like a, yeah, duh kind of thing, like across the board for all of us, but it's particularly true for projectors. Think about it like this. If you have the capacity to understand information and to make it applicable in a very effective way to you more than any other type of person on the planet, how many times have you made information applicable to you just because you have the capacity to understand it and make it applicable to you in a really elevated way? Does that make sense?
It does. I just don't understand. Okay, I understand needing to relax and to slow down. I just don't understand how it fits into the equation. But I do understand that it's supposed to fit into this equation. I just don't understand how it fits into this equation.
It is a fucking requirement for projectors. Two things. You've got to rest a lot, and I'm talking about like nothing. Ain't nothing. And two, you've got to be alone, as in like nobody else is around you very often, because your aura is absorbing things like nobody's business. How does it fit into the equation? Well, that might be what you ask about. You know, if you can't figure out with your mind how you can create and constitute, you know, your life in a way so that things are working, but that it makes sense for you to have this ability to slow down, you know, that might be the thing to ask about and to set your sights on, because you'll always feel like you're failing in terms of maintaining things if you do not correct that.
Yeah.
You'll always feel that way.
I feel like this is literally the same question I asked 3 days ago in our once you said it again, I was like, I already asked this. See, I'm still not getting it. I hear it, and then I'm like, wait, actually I don't get it. And I'm like, no, you get it. Just like I'm just resisting more than I think I'm subconsciously resisting, or now consciously resisting more than I would like to believe. I'm like,
I mean,
oh,
it's understandable though. It's understandable because it's a major, I mean, it's a major life change that you're thinking about right now. And the thing is that you said it yourself, you know, and it makes perfect sense. I don't know how this fits into the equation. I can't see how this fits into the equation, which for a projector is an extremely rare and uncomfortable thing to experience. Excuse me. So if you want, like all this, you know, stuff I'm talking about, if you want to receive the information so that you can see it, you can know it, you know how to get that without having to try to figure it out with your mind. Everything else you said
will fall into place.
Yeah.
I know in my head.
Yeah.
I know in my head.
But that's why, you know, that's the thing. Like, that's one of the reasons why I'm so glad that, you know, that we're going to start working together more regularly, because it's really helpful to have somebody stand next to you shoulder to shoulder and be able to look at things too, you know? And it's always better to go through these things with other people together. It's always better that way, like no matter what.
Yeah.
So, another thing about y'all projectors is that, like, if you're not in a position career-wise where you're being recognized for the things that you truly excel at and are natural at, it's not going to feel right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's something I have learned, which is, I'm glad I've learned that pretty quickly, especially when I read it for learning about being a projector, that was like, because I was like, oh, like this all makes sense now.
Yeah. God, it's been so interesting watching it with with Stanley. It's like so spot on. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow.
Everybody can think you're like doing so great. They're like, you're doing a great job. It's great. You're like, that's not even what I really do.
Yeah, it's like you don't even know. This is like
Don't even know
not
me.
even my final form.
Yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is crazy.
It is. It is.
Oh, more rest, more rest. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I know. I know. I think a lot of people struggle with rest because they feel like they are in a deficit of things that get them in the mood for rest. Like, I really do have this theory that people need like just better, and they need like a person to hand select like recommendations for them in the form of like books, movies, TV shows, like to really get to know them so that they can supply those kinds of recommendations that start that process of rest. Because if you don't have anything to look forward to that puts you in a more passive state, you're not going to shift into that state. And there's so much information out there that it's like, doesn't everybody just want somebody to be like, I have the perfect thing for you? Like, you know what I mean? So that's one of the things that I intend to add into my career because I am so fucking good at that. And it's like one of my greatest joys in life is doing that shit. So
I love
yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, as a practical thing, that could be something that helps is like it certainly helps me. I am a person too who has to continuously practice relaxing. I'm a manifesting generator, so like I will go all night, all day. I'm doing a million things. I am the energizer bunny. Like, and if I don't have like a few potential options for like shifting into relax mode, like at the beginning of the day, prepared for the end of the day, chances are then I'll just keep working until like I just fall over. So something to look forward to entice you. Yes. So I know it's like 8:54. I have an idea in mind. I'll tell you in a second about how to approach this laser beam thing. Um, but I also want to check in with you guys about the aura portion of this course and the telling, which I can see I had a feeling is like, nope, none in there. I knew it. It's okay. I'm not.
Yeah. I really wanted to. I will
Oh,
say
I know.
it feeds into my like wanting to just like talk out loud constantly.
Good,
I was just
good.
so
That's the
tired
fun.
today, but I like literally was
Yeah.
like itching to do it, and I was like, "You're just too tired." So,
No, it's perfectly, and there's never any pressure. I'm just teasing you guys. But um did you guys do any of the aura? I'm curious. You don't have to tell me details, but I'm just curious if anybody did any of them.
I didn't. I had
didn't.
planned to. I was excited to, but I did not make the space for it.
yeah, I did the playlist, but I sort of did it in this like flow state where I had like not like half the day my Wi-Fi was gone, and so
Yeah.
I just played all like my downloaded music I had on my phone because I was by myself and just did whatever and like chose a playlist and just started saving things when they felt like
Mhm.
I wrote the words on there, capable and mature. Um,
Oh, nice.
and I just like on the name of the playlist, and I would just like drop things in. It is an interesting exercise because so I can't think of it what it is right now, but there are like a few songs where I'm like, I don't know if I want anybody to know that about me, even though yeah, that feels right.
I'm so curious.
I
Yeah.
can't remember exactly what they were at this moment. I don't know why not. But like, yeah, I remember thinking when I was thinking about this, it's like when I'm saving them and like looking through, I don't know how I feel about seeing this and then making their own judgment. I don't know if I like that.
That's good. That's good. You're going deep, girl. You're
A
getting
bit of an observation during it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's okay. So like that's the whole secret basically. And kind of like what I'll end on with aura and the telling, but mostly aura, is that like my theory is, and this has been true in my own, like this is not just necessarily something that I just like thought up and was like, wouldn't it be cool if like this is I try to only teach things most of the time that I myself have done or tried to some extent. And it's this whole spiel about, oh, okay, this thing I want to do. This is it's like I'm telling you, it's classic. It's like I really wanted to, but I didn't make space for it because
Mhm.
these things are always, there's never going to be an appropriate time for these things. That's the beauty of it, right? There's never going to be an appropriate time for these things, right? And they're not so practical that they're like, oh, that's a chore. But they're also not so conceptual that you're like, oh. And the thing is that
I was a little bit. That was kind of how I felt about it.
really, yeah, I
It was
mean,
a little bit
so
excitement also, like once I actually read the prompts, I was like, ooh, like I'm already judging myself in advance for this. Like I don't know how to do
yes,
this, but I guess that's part of it.
Oh yeah,
Like,
the like first one on there I wanted to do. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I was like, I'm not putting anything on my Instagram.
that one was for you, right?
I literally first one, I was like, yeah, oh my god, it'll be so great. And then I was like, no, I'm not gonna.
I know, that's why I made that one for you.
Like, I'm not doing it. Nope.
Oh my God. Oh my God. But the
But
thing
initially, the initial reaction was yes. It was
I
so, it was
know.
100% yes. And then as soon as my random brain was like, absolutely not. We will not be doing that.
Girl,
it was
I
one for me.
know. I know. You're so right. That's the thing. It's like, that's why it's called ordinary radical acts, because I'm telling you, if you do a couple of these every week, you will change as a person. These very ordinary, simple things, because it's not just the actual activity itself, it's the bigger picture. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like it's
exactly.
the larger thing. Like,
Right.
yeah, yeah. And it is definitely an exercise in strengthening your will.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I,
So,
yeah. Oh, I
uh,
was just gonna say,
mhm.
oh, can I?
Yeah.
It was the last one that really psyched me out because I was just like, and I guess that's kind of, a lot of the point of the exercise was just me being like, well, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to speak from that
That one
perspective.
was
And
for
like, how do
you.
I do so in a gentle way? I felt that was for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought about it on my drive a lot today, but then I didn't pen anything down. So, and because a lot of that was because I didn't feel like it was coming through with an authentic voice.
Let me tell you something.
Mhm.
With these aura, and this is like again from personal experience, I give myself little weird shit to do all the time. It's what keeps me young. No, I'm just kidding. It is what keeps me sane. Like it's like my secret. It's not a secret because whatever. Anyways, so because tripping that switch, you gotta trip that switch. You gotta trip that switch if you want more life in your life. And you're gonna be too tired, you're not gonna feel like it, you're like, I don't know, I'm not there, it's not the right moment, I don't feel like it, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is that I swear to you, I swear to you, that if you make it a thing and you're just like, I don't care how I feel, I'm gonna try it,
Mhm.
okay? one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to get into it and they're going to be like, wow, I did it. Awesome. Or you're going to be like, yeah, no, this seriously ain't it. And then you can stop. But at least bypass, at least try to bypass and try to do at least one. At least two is really what I'd recommend. And you can, if you want, I'm going to give you new ones for this week. You can, it's totally, you don't have to, you can go back and do the ones from before. You can pick any of them. They don't have to be, it's not like you missed your chance or something. But yes. And
yeah, when you're talking about all of this, like, see, I might make a post about this conversation right now. And if you actually wouldn't mind sharing just that last clip of what you said about, like, you need to keep tripping it.
Sure.
That
Aw,
would be
yeah.
fantastic. Also for marketing, that was
Oh,
like,
oh, you
that was
guys are so
love
sweet.
it. But yeah, I'm excited because, like, everything you're saying just makes me think about, like, neuroplasticity in the endocrine system. And, like, yeah, that's exactly how you do it. You just trip it. But I get so tripped up on, like, how to actually implement that. So this is these ordinary radical acts.
Yeah,
You're a
see,
fucking genius.
I noticed it,
Fucking
like,
genius.
we all do it. So I wanted to develop something that gave people an incentive, like a reason to do it. You know what I mean? Because that's what I always wanted. I was like, man, I wish I had a little me over my shoulder being like, "Rah, rah, rah." So I was that for me. But it'd be nice sometimes to have somebody else who's not me doing those things, And then, like, don't underestimate the telling too. Like, one of the most rewarding practices in my life, period, especially creatively, especially where my career is concerned, is recording myself. I am so serious, whether it's video, audio, writing is obviously, but it's different when you can hear your voice, when you can see your face. Now, you don't have to sit there and play it back if you don't want to. You don't have to, But the thing is that it's an accountability thing. You upload it to the drive. Obviously, I'm going to look at it, so that somebody is out there, like, listening, taking. I'm going to, like, sit down at night with a glass of wine and just listen to, what's going on in your guys' life and think with my heart and my head, like, okay, well, what am I going to have for them next week? It's like it's an act of love, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
You're gonna make me teary.
I will say I'm excited for it too, because years ago, or not years ago, like 2-3 years ago, I used to leave, me and this other person used to leave daily voice notes every morning. And I would say it really, I quite literally, there were like a few other things in there, but actually I was resting a lot then. I didn't think about it till just now. I was actually doing a lot of resting then. My life quite literally changed. Like, things just changed. Like, I changed. Like, it was like little demon things that were in me that I've had my whole life just, like, jumped up and ran away. And I've never seen them ever again. It was like, it was very all of a sudden. Yes, like, quite literally one time I went to bed, woke up, and it was gone. Like, a thing in me was gone forever. Haven't seen it, never came back. But I do equate it to that process of doing that for like a couple months. So I am curious to see what happens with this time, because I wasn't doing that then for any sort of, like, magical thing to happen, and
Yeah.
Who knew? I know I didn't.
Yes. I discovered it that way too. It was just a total whim. I was just like, I'm doing this. And then I just didn't stop.
It's wild.
Yeah, I just didn't stop, You play that shit back, man, you give it a couple months, you play that shit back and you're like, what the fuck? Like, what? Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. Yeah, it's wonderful stuff. So here, I have an idea, because here's what's been tripping me up. In theory, I wanted to do this laser beam thing together. But I think why it keeps not working is because this thing is really meant for the beginning of the day. It's not meant for the end of the day. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to, oh my God. I'm going to record a guided meditation for you.
You really didn't want to do this also. And here it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So
Next we'll all be on a retreat.
yes. All right. What's our next talk? Isn't on karma? No, I'm just kidding. Yes. So I'm gonna record this and try to put, some nice little ambiance, make it palatable. So you have it and can practice it. And then what we'll do, and I'll get that to you like midweek. And what we'll do is that we'll talk about it next class is what we'll do instead of doing it all together. It's not complicated. It's not like we have to do it together in order, it's very simple. But yes. So tonight I'll send you the new aura. And I think that's all the things. Yeah, new aura. Trish, I got to send you that replay.
Yes.
Last week. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Do you do the color thing every week? I couldn't remember from
Yeah, I mean I do. Yeah, I do. I on Monday, like that's like my little ritual. I get my new like Discover Spotify playlist on Monday. So I start listening to that, and then I do my little color oracle thing, and then I put it in the little template and I save it to my phone every Monday. Yeah. Yes, I do that. And yeah, I think that's about all she wrote, my lovely friends.
Thank you so much, as always.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
I'm gonna go get in the sauna. Recreate some tea to surrender to now that it's right on top of mind.
Yes.
I'm about to go for a walk, which is the first time in a week, which is really unlike me. So you always energize me to get up and go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
really good. So thank you. Yeah.
I'm going to drown myself in French cinema. That's what I'm going to do.
That sounds perfect. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to talk. Yes. Amelie.
Yes. Oh, beautiful. Girl, I got all the rest, I'm telling you.
That too. Okay, I need more like that, but that don't have an emotional connection for me yet. So thank you.
I got you. So exciting. I will send you some things.
Awesome. Oh, I know you will. Yeah, you were saying that's one of your pleasures in life.
Yes. Wonderful. All right. I love you guys. Have a wonderful night.
Yes, I'll see you
tonight.
Bye.